This document is designed for those teaching in a Flex50 course and to help them in calculating how many hours to dedicate to certain course activities based on the residential time that the students are spending in the course. As opposed to thinking about partially on campus and partially online, we want to think about total course activity hours. So in a traditional lecture-based course, 1 credit hour is going to equal 33 total course hours, or 3 hours of activity per our 11-week quarters. We come up with that based on 1 hour of residential classroom time and 2 hours of outside classwork per that 1 hour of residential time. So when we think about a fully residential course, we're for 3 credit hours. This is a minimum of 33 total course hours per credit hour, so we have 99 total hours of activity, or 9 hours per week. 3 of those hours are spent in the residential classroom. 6 hours are spent outside. In our courses, that should be done within the Common Online Gradebook or within the Angel course management system. Let's take a look though at what this means for a Flex 50 course. We don't decrease the number of total hours of activity of the course, we just decrease the residential time. So as opposed to the 3 hours of residential class, we're going to cut that in half. Flex 50, 50% of the time on campus. So now we have an hour and a half of class per week, but then we make up those other hours in outside activity within the online course shell. What is really nice for you as a faculty member is that this includes anything that's happening outside of class. Studying, assignments, reading, reflection, and I'll give you some examples and hours that you should assign for that in just a minute. But I just wanted to give you a quick, easy way to calculate how many total activity hours you should have depending upon the course type that you have. So if you have a fully residential course, the residential or face-to-face time is going to equal the number of credit hours that you have. This is just in a lecture-based course, not laboratory or blended environment. So traditional lecture-based course, the number of credit hours will equal how much residential time you have. Outside course activity time will be that residential hour component times 2. So in a 3 credit hour class, we have 3 hours on campus, 6 hours of outside activity. Again, assignments, study, reflection, reading, all of those things are considered as part of it. In Flex 50, we're doing half of the credit hour in residential time, but then the outside course activity time is actually the residential hours that you have times 5. So what that means is if you have a 3 credit hour class, we're going to spend 1.5 hours on campus, so half of that 3 credits, and then 7.5 hours of outside study time. If you had a 4 credit class, we're going to spend 2 hours on campus, so half of 4 is going to be 2 hours on campus, so those 2 hours times 5 will be then 10 hours in the online course activities. Let's take a look at the bottom portion of this document, which gives us minimum activity time estimates. So this is provided to us by our online course development team. And this is what they use to sort of calculate time that the students should be spending in those traditional online course activities. Looking at reading, minimum of 2 hours per chapter. Discussion board activities, minimum of 2 hours per week. This is noting 1 original post, 1 response post. So if you're requiring more of that of your students, make sure you increase that time. Looking at quizzes for multiple choice and true false questions, 1 minute per question, more obviously for essay and short answer. For written assignments and other types of projects, a minimum of 2 hours per week, but that's definitely going to be dependent on what type of project is happening and what that written assignment looks like, how many pages. So just think about that. And then you also want to make sure that you build in some time for them to just study and research and reflect on what's happening because you know that there's going to be additional time that they need to just sit and spend with those vocabulary words or sit working through problems. So make sure you build that into your activity time. This is just another easy way of breaking up the residential online or Flex 50 course and just kind of showing you in a more visual representation of where you'll be. So it's the same number of course hours. We have 12 hours total in a 4 credit class. So 4 hours on campus, 8 hours outside of class, so that 1 to 2 kind of ratio. And online, everything is outside of a physical classroom. But then in Flex 50, remember, we're just splitting in half this 4 hours of classwork. Flex 50 is going to be 2 hours of classwork, but then the remaining hours online, so 10 hours for that 4 credit class. I think this is a great way just to show you how it's the same amount of work, just a different location that we're having those different activities. And finally, the bottom portion of this document is really where you can find some examples from fellow Rasmussen Flex 50 faculty. They have broken down their own lessons to give you the amount of time that it took them or what time that they expect students to have in the online portion, and then how much time they spend on campus. So you can see these different activity breakdowns, and then how much time will it take on campus to do these different, or online to do these different activities. Notice that even though this course is a 4 credit hour course, there's not a total time of 12 hours spent with course activities. You're not necessarily going to hit that full 12 every single week. Some weeks are going to be heavier in research and reflection, other weeks are going to be heavier in assignments, but it's more getting those total hours for the entire course throughout those 11 weeks that we're really focused on. So just think about that. Then you can see another example of how this instructor is using the online and residential portions. The residential portion of this course is primarily lab-based exercises. So in a computer lab, working through these different types of labs. This instructor has flipped the classroom, so providing online lecture videos for the students to watch prior to coming to class. And then some online lab work and assessments as well. Some great comments here from this instructor regarding flipping the classroom and just how he teaches. And then furthermore, we have one more example further down on the page, really talking about how this instructor really splits the time in the online environment for before the residential class and after the residential class. So there's going to be some reading. There's going to be some prep for in-class discussion. Notice that this is submitted via online shell Dropbox before the residential class. Same thing for these mind maps, submitted online before the residential class. Okay, and then the quiz will be completed. It doesn't give a time at when that's going to happen, but then we break up the residential class time here. And this class is actually 2 hours of lecture activity time and then additional hours of 9.5. So we're really close to that 12-hour mark here. Hope you found some great information in this handout, and it helps you to plan out your lessons in your next Flex 50 course.